You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
All right, this is the cue, whatever it is you're going to do.
You've already done it.
You're up.
If y'all want to wear headphones, y'all can. Y'all don't have to.
Are the cameras on clappers?
Let me see.
Oh, wow, I can hear you.
Let me fix.
Oh, now I can hear you. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. Hey, these are good little, Ladies and gentlemen, mouth sounds by producer Dan.
Do it, Dan.
Little what is it? ASMR?
Oh,
Don't do that. I get super turned on. Don't do that.
We don't need weird shit going on here.
I may not make it home
hypnotized?
tonight. Don't choke. Your mom will be super upset.
Super upset.
By the way, I just before we go, we're not recording now, right?
We're always recording.
I think we started recording about 30 minutes ago.
But it's about editing.
Did we really?
Oh, yeah.
But it's about editing.
Yeah.
I just find that the bathroom in there is really cool. It has all those ornate mirrors, right?
Yeah.
All around, which is awesome. I always thought of doing that.
Just take some of that.
But for a boy, if you're going to the washroom in there, there's one that just frames your lower half perfectly. So if you're going to the washroom, you have a picture.
You're like, oh, this is
Well, this is literally
of your dirty parts.
This
in
is
this
literally
beautiful frame.
only
this
time I get
vintage-
to see mine is when I come here.
It's the best it's ever looked. I've never seen it framed before.
I'm like,
This is a new experience.
That's a convex mirror because this is looking amazing.
Yeah, it must be one of those mirrors that they have at the shops that makes it look extra good.
Like at the circus. I'm gonna take it home and show my wife. I'm like, look at it through this.
I want to.
Talk trash
I want
now.
to.
And she's going to say it looks way better through that.
She's gonna say gross, like she did us every other time. Hey, she's the one that married a fat guy, not me. She's gross.
It's one hell of a personality, you know?
So the Hazy Blues, -1, right?
Minus
Or
a couple. We've had a growth spurt. The band seeds were planted, and we have some new members, and of course me and Javi.
when did this happen?
And when did this happen?
Yesterday.
So
Yesterday.
we just
That's why
found
they're
this
not
guy.
here.
Actually, I was on my way up here, and he was hitchhiking.
That's
It
nice.
said, pick him up.
She said he looks Canadian.
Yeah.
So you are Canadian.
I am Canadian.
And
Producer Dan, ladies and
Like, are
gentlemen.
you Canadian like I'm Mexican, or are you like from Canada and you came down here?
I'm from Canada, the land of the Canadians.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 So how long have you been down here?
Going on about 6 years. I came down for 3, then I went back
Okay.
for a bit, then back again.
Why?
I'd like to say it was you guys.
Right here. The Hazy Blues
he's all-
aura.
No, it was just.
You know what? Data Point Taqueria is why he's here.
Yeah, that's exactly why he's here.
Yeah.
Hazy Blues, tacos, sun.
Yeah.
What's not to want to be
He
here?
said, I want to sweat profusely.
Well, that was a bit.
Where
of
can
it.
I go?
I mean, we were talking about hypnosis and meditation earlier on, and that was kind of that's what started. It was like this idea of working without winters. Is that possible? Like for a Canadian, is that possible? I mean, the winter season, of course.
Yeah, but y'all,
everywhere.
that's
but-
old hat to y'all. Y'all don't sweat that. Snow doesn't bother y'all.
Not at all.
Well, it depends. It depends. Some people like ski and be part of the snow and be one with the snow, and it just wasn't for me.
Oh, you don't like the snow?
No, but I thought heat. I can handle the heat, but this is serious heat.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is out of control.
I mean, I have to wear a hat in like fluorescent lights not to get sunstroke.
Yeah, well, you're lucky you don't have all the here's and there's I have, because those are still sweating.
Yeah, we met Dan in a heat wave. So fun
Yeah.
story. We grew, but we were here for your for a podcast when we released our first album, The Runaround. So that
That's
came
when it was
out.
just you and Javi.
Yeah, and so we went in and we produced The Runaround with Jacob in Productions. He was our producer and engineer, and at the time Jacob didn't play live, and so he didn't play in the live show with us, even though I really wanted him to. But we end up having our album release party, and we show up, and Jacob ran sound for us that day.
Right.
And
Is that the one that was at Alamo?
Yeah.
Okay.
yes, yeah. So we have that in the 900-degree weather. You know, we played on the surface of the sun, no shade.
It was pretty brutal.
It was great. It was brutal.
She said, "Hey, album release party outside in June."
Yeah.
It was 106, I remember.
So Jacob came out to run sound,
shade.
and he brought Dan. And at the time, we were busy getting ready for a show, so Dan had introduced himself, and I vaguely remember, but everybody else met him. So that's how we met Dan. Now, we'll get back to Dan's story on meeting us here in a second. But as we do have more members, I got a new bass player, and this is part 1 of the THB series. And we'll bring him in on part 2.
Okay.
We have the same drummer, Alex. He's a musician, so he plays with a lot of bands. So when he's in, we're cool. And there's yet to come a time where he's not in, so that's been cool too.
Yeah.
And then we have Jacob from the engineer from Jacob in Productions, who engineered and produced our first album, is now our band director.
That's cool.
So we're looking to add another guitar player and some keys. So the band is growing.
Do you need a tambourine?
Sure. We always need a tambourine.
Holler at me.
All right, you're up. October 7th, you're up. We'll be at Alamo Beer Company.
If your mom will get out of the way.
Yeah. SA, it'll be, 2 tambourine players. We'll give you 2 types of tambourine players.
Well, that's cool. So how long in totality have you all been playing together here recently? Has it been months?
Us 3, making an album and playing together are not the same thing.
Okay.
So we made an album. We've been making an album
For
the
a while.
past year.
About a year.
It's been about a year. A little over a year and 2 months. A year and a month.
What's the name of the new one?
The new album is called, ladies and gentlemen, the Hazy Blues presents to you, Summer Spell.
Nice.
Yeah, we have our new album, Summer Spell, out. I'll give you a sneak peek of the album art.
I can't wait to get my free
Win-win.
discounted album
Yes.
from you guys.
We will. We'll bring you a physical
Slightly
copy.
discounted.
Yeah. But we shot the podcast with you. We played the show. And then we played 3 shows with Dan. And then we went back into the studio.
Oh, okay.
AKA my apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dan came up. Dan, why don't
Yeah.
you tell him how you met us?
Oh, sure. Well, no, it was at that event. But I'd met with Jacob, who was working with me, and Mel describes him as the band leader and the engineer, but he's one of those guys that he does everything. Cool. Like, he's a great musician, a great singer. He's got his own album out.
Broken Levy.
Yeah, he is awesome. And, also at the time and currently a great teacher and mentor for me and a lot of people with production. So I was just getting into this because it was something, kind of like you and podcasts. It's like, what is all this stuff about? I want to learn. And I looked him up, and I was working with a singer in Canada.
Canadian. You said it wrong.
Please correct me, but I do. Yeah, no, it was. So yeah, he was helping me out, and I always said to him, just coming down when I was in Canada, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to hook up with a band in Texas and just do whatever. I don't know what that meant, but just
sweat.
I didn't know the degree of sweating that would be involved. But yeah, I thought it would be really great. So what I always tell Jacob, I said, if you know of anybody, or you yourself just need help with anything, I said, I'll carry bags, I'll play bass, I'll play guitar, I'll help, produce whatever it is. I don't know too much about much, but I'll do what I can, type of thing. So he said that you guys were playing and that he had helped produce the album, and why don't you come and just sit with him at the soundboard? I'd never done that before, and help these guys. And when I got there, if you remember, they put the soundboard on the side of the stage, right? Which is tough because usually the person running the sound should be
where the sound is.
Where the sound is. That's the key.
I love when I get it right.
Yes. So we had to move really fast because you guys were we just got there figuring, okay, we'll just have to sit here for about 5 minutes and then you guys are on and playing a 3-hour set, of course. in 106-degree weather.
Cramping and dehydrated.
Yeah, that happened, I think, didn't it? But yeah, so all of a sudden, Jacob and he's like, I actually need you now. So I had to be the guy standing there where the soundboard should be, and we developed some hand signals on what needs to happen. So that was really what would happen with the show, is that I was the guy looking for Mel and Javi to go up, yeah, and then I'd signal to Jacob, and then he'd be on the side doing whatever he did.
That's awesome.
But and then at the end, I think I was bringing him root beers and Javi.
I think
didn't
Alex
your
thought
hand turn into a claw in about hour 2?
That was
The next show.
the next show that we played that Saturday. And then
Dehydration, man.
We went back on
Wednesday.
that Wednesday.
Oh, that's
So it was like
Yeah.
3 days later, so I was still dehydrated.
That's
from the
right. I
first
did
show.
play multiple days.
Yeah.
So we played on Wednesday, and it was during the last set. We had like 3 songs
Right.
left, and that's when my hand cramped up. But
Right.
I have found out since then why, but that's another story that we won't go into today. But yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Dehydration. That's what I'm calling it.
yeah. And then at the so
another
just,
one of those big words for you. I'm
I'm busting them all out
I
tonight.
tell you. Ching.
No, at the end of the show, like you said, I hadn't met anybody yet
Yeah.
formally, and so Jacob, very graciously came over and said, "Hey, Mel, Javi, this is Dan, and he plays guitar, bass. I'm helping him with production. He's a really good guy." And
Really talked him up.
I think I was
He
going to
talked me
say,
up. He
I'm
talked
sure he
me
said
up.
that part.
but these guys were so busy packing up, and then Mel just said, "Oh, great, you're in," and then she left. And I'm like, "What am I in?" And he was like, "I don't know." And then
That was the cue.
Yeah.
He got the cue that he
The
was
next
in.
morning, I got a text. I don't know if it was from you, Javi, or you,
Yeah.
saying, "We're doing a show in Dallas in 5 days. Can you learn 30 songs?" I'm like, "Who is this?"
30 songs in 5 days?
Well, what I didn't tell him at the time was that we had this show in Dallas, and then we were going to turn around and have another show in Beeville. So the show in Dallas was like, look, just learn the first. I think we played maybe 10 songs, if that. And then I was like, hey, once you know these, you know them all. They're all easy. I play them.
But I'm with you,
got
Gabe.
this.
30 songs.
That's a lot of songs.
So, I mean, he did it. Look at this guy.
Yeah, but I think I talked to you, Javi, first to say I can't do this.
Well, I wanted to interject something really quick when you were talking about, when Jacob was, saying, he's great, he knows this, that. I was standing there like, here, take my bags.
Yeah. This is why
I'm cramping up. Take my bags.
Yeah.
I think you did talk to me first, and I think you did say something like, "Oh, you want me to learn 30 songs?" Like, yeah, if you can, go ahead. But what, 30 songs? It's like,
I'm not that good.
I don't know 30 songs. I'm in the band. So yeah, I remember that.
Mel said,
yeah,
I got to write 15 more songs.
Yeah. That's why we went back to the studio.
But it was that gig was really cool that Dan first played with us because it was at Comic Con.
Yeah. Or Dallas Fan Expo.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was like the scenery alone was amazing. Just all the costumes
Yeah.
and stuff. And well, I don't say costumes to those guys.
What do they call them?
This is a real thing. I'm a real Jedi.
Yeah, it was a cool.
He said, you're a real nerd.
So, I love your costume. I'm a rebel. Okay. I was like, anyway.
Sorry.
He said, you can't be a rebel and still live at your mom's house.
So I said, no, these are not the droids you're looking for. But he played with us at that show, and
Mind you, we'd known Dan for 5 days?
oh, not even a week.
Yeah, 5 days.
We had no rehearsal either.
And
And you thought Canadians were cool and nice.
I pick him up
So I
to
just
be
got
like,
to Texas and I'm in a band.
yeah, it was the coolest experience ever, right? Everything he dreamed of. But I know him for 5 days. I say, just get us through the set. You're gonna be fine. You got this, kind of deal. Like, it's fine. No's not an option. Is kind of my tone.
So serial killer never crossed your mind? Okay.
He's
For me or for her?
No,
He's
I mean,
Canadian.
either one of you.
That's the chances of us both being,
It's like that
very
joke,
rare.
right?
Yeah.
Where Dan says, I could be a serial killer.
Yeah.
And Melissa looks at him and says, what is the chance of two of us?
Yeah, So I was not.
She said we
worried.
have so much in common.
And that actually was an inspiration for a song that we ended up not writing, but it turned into something else.
Serial killers?
But no,
The thoughts of killing, murdering Dan.
that too.
That's the title of the song, Murdering Dan.
But so I'd only known him 5 days, and he's going to Dallas with us.
Yeah.
And I'm picking him up, and we're gonna stay at my cousin's house, who I've met. I mean, I know him.
Really?
But-
You didn't know him?
I mean, I know him.
You knew him just as much as she did.
No, I know him a little. I know him better. I've only stayed with him once
She's like,
before.
I saw him when we were 4 at Christmas
I saw him
years ago.
2 years
more than
before that.
Now I know. I was in danger.
So and we were all good people. He was never in
Oh,
danger.
yeah.
So we'd known him 5 days, and I'm like, look, you just gotta go. We gotta go, man. This is it. I gotta make this happen. You're in.
I'm looking at him. He's thinking.
Now
and
he's
like,
reliving the
he's
story.
like, I could have died.
Yeah.
That close.
So, but Jacob had really talked him up. Jacob had talked to me and said, "Look, while we were making album one, the Runaround, I was woo."
There's hypnosis coming back again.
When I was making the Runaround, I had talked to Jacob, and I was like, "I want to write more songs. I just need a producer." And he was like, "Yeah, we can work on something." And he was working on a lot of projects. I had an idea of how I wanted to write. But then when he introduced me to Dan, I was like, this is the guy. Yeah, we're in.
So what did Dan bring to the table that made you go,
This is the guy.
This is the guy.
Me and Dan
Willingness to
is
show
the
up.
very, yes, number one, willingness to show up.
and give gas money?
A willingness to learn. Those are the two. Anytime you join a band, I got into the first band that I auditioned for because they said, when you auditioned, I was like, I wasn't that good. I went and auditioned, and I thought they were going to say, like, go home and practice. But they didn't. And I was like, oh, hey, guys, well, what did I do good? And they were like, you have a willingness to learn. And not everybody has that. Not everybody wants that. They just know what they know, and that's that. Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Those are hard. And you meet a lot of musicians like that, and that's fine. This is your fingerprint. That's how you want to do it.
I guess he's bringing a fresh perspective.
So his willingness to say, I've always, he's a musician. He's very organized. Our conversation all the way to Dallas was really great.
Energy
It
and
was
excitement. And
just good universe. Like the universe granted you this gift, and you're like, yeah, we're in. We're writing. We're making an album.
it's very nice.
It is
And
good.
so because you don't get to write and make albums with everybody, it doesn't always get to be a cool chemistry thing. And so it was cool to be like, Dan, you get it. Oh, let's write these songs in this cool way.
At
that
this stranger's house.
Yes.
Yeah,
At this stranger's house. Exactly.
But
That's
Mel and
exactly.
but Mel and Javi wanted to do some fun things too. Like you guys wanted to create, like you had your first album, you wanted to create a new sound, and you had some of these ideas. And the cool thing was that you guys had more questions than answers, right? It's kind of like, well, what if this, and what if that, and what if we can do this? So it was exciting. It wasn't like, hey, we've got a bunch of leftover songs from the Runaround. Can you track them? It wasn't that at all. It was like, hey, I've got some, Javi's got some great ideas for guitars, and Mel's got some ideas for how these instruments will play, and some ideas for the type of music, like this quirky, fun, still South Texas, but can we do some, I think we started calling it indie pop rock, but it was more like, can we do something that's more quirky and fun and unexpected?
Just us.
Yeah.
We just wanted to be us in the album. And we're just like dorky, fun people. That's ultimately, anything that we
I'm the
do
only grown up in this band.
is. That's the guy who probably wouldn't have showed up on time if I not sent a reminder text.
Well, Javi, you play all kinds of stuff. Well, last time you were here, you played all kinds of guitars, and real talented. So how's it been introducing new parts to the machine? As far as is it easier as a musician to kind of introduce people in, or is it more difficult because now you're going from, hey, I've been responsible for these parts. Now I'm responsible for this portion. Is it easier to focus on something like that, or is it natural for you to just be able to handle so many parts of the song?
Oh, no, it's not easy.
It's not easy?
Everything takes a lot of practice. Dan was very instrumental first of all, he was very complimentary. You know, he really believes I'm a really good musician.
You're good, man.
You are a good musician, buddy. Come on.
He was very, very supportive. And the way when you were asking that question, what was going through my mind, what I was thinking was, you have all these things. Sometimes, like, you have something that you want to say, like, to your wife. You get home and you got to tell her right away something had happened. And it was like that with me. I had all these instruments that I wanted to integrate into and ideas that I wanted to try. You know, and I was at first it was kind of like, I don't know if the guy survived being murdered.
Yeah.
And can I throw these ideas at him? How's he going to be about it? Is he going to laugh at me? Is he going to make fun? Am I going to go home, take my ball and go home or whatever, But he wasn't. He was very receptive and my ideas were accepted. An example being, different instruments. Like you said, there's a bunch of them on the album. Of course, I'm playing
your guitars.
I'm playing acoustic and I'm playing electric, and I'm also playing the melodica and I'm playing the mandolin on one of the tunes, and it's a lot of fun. And then him knowing the software helped a lot with us being able to what's the word I want to use? Paste them on there. And I don't know if they paste it or cut it in there or
word you want to use.
Just something. And it was real simple stuff. Like one time he was like, I don't know, the break in a song just needs something. And I said, Dan, how about
Oh, yeah. Hobby was so good at stuff like that. Like finding the glue or the little quirky thing that just needed to be put in there, like the snapping of the fingers. Or you usually, we needed a backing vocal. You were like, how about, like, you have the kind of doo-wop sensibility of like, what if the vocals went like this? Or
doo-wop, that does age me a little bit.
No,
I know, really, I feel old for being 40 around you guys.
I'm old too because I knew exactly what he meant.
But no, and that's the cool thing about this album, and I think our Hazy Heads are going to really appreciate it because there's a diverse application that went into the making of it. My classic rock and classical music. Also, classical music got to be introduced to one of the songs as well.
That's
I got to play a little bit of classical guitar on one of the songs. It's a lot of fun. And classic rock and being an old rock and roller like I am, Dan with these ideas that are, people can say, Dan's really way out there, but in the coolest way, And then, Melissa with the drive that she had applying, trying to get us, especially me, she's really instrumental in getting me to get out of my box, my comfort box, or my, what do they call it? Do nothing box?
Yeah, your nothing box, yeah.
I want that gift. I want that gift.
So it was really a cool thing to be able to record that way. It wasn't well, I can't say it wasn't stressful. There were some days that it was kind of stressful.
If it wasn't stressful, did we even make an album?
That's right.
If it wasn't hard, did you really do anything? It's like going to a workout and you're like, I don't even feel tired.
It was almost kind of like Dan was like the Don, the Mafia Don, because one day I was sitting there and I was trying to get a guitar part on a guitar, and I'd been sitting there playing for like 3-4 hours already, and I was getting really tired. And Melissa was over there saying, no, I'll play it like this. And Alex was like, no, what you just played is a minute ago. And then after a while, Dan says, okay, I think he's had enough. It's like taking a beating. All right, he's had enough.
Well, it sounds like there's the creative aspect.
Yep.
And then it sounds like there's some, Dan's got a hand in helping y'all. It's like y'all have this colander of spaghetti noodles that have been boiled, and somebody's got to put them in a straight line and organize them. Because you're producing all this art, you're producing all these you're taking all your ideas and you're recording them. I would imagine sometimes it would get difficult to arrange those pieces, right?
Yes.
Because your head's full of not only being creative, but you still need to be creative and organize it in a manner that's going to be receptive to people, right?
Yeah, that's the discipline part. Before I made the album, I've been praying for disciplines.
Have you gotten it?
So yeah,
What?
and a lot of it is due.
Javi, does she have it?
A lot of it is due to Dan. Before we started making the album, he came in and we had a meeting, and we went through everything. I got to finally tell
What were the
somebody,
first
like,
instruments we pulled out? Sticky notes,
just sticky notes
and a Sharpie.
pen and pad, and we wrote down everything because I had an idea.
I remember seeing y'all post that.
Yeah, that's all our sticky notes because I had ideas already, and I needed somebody to say like, "There's a lot of them," and then you're like.
Yeah.
So when you see all the sticky notes, you're like, whoa, and you're like, okay, I know there's a lot, and I know we're gonna pick and choose, but bear with me here. Let's go through the process of hearing them out to determine which ones are gonna make the songs and how.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were just ideas. Some of them were music. Dan wrote some songs, and everybody comes to songs. Everybody comes with their songs like, you want to give your song like, I wrote it, but. Oh, this is Judgment Day, right? This is the day that you're like, I'm gonna read you the poem I wrote, and you're like, I'm sure we've all felt that, pouring your heart out to the. Will you go to the dance with me?
That's the hard part about being an artist, right? Is because
it's a tiny piece of you.
When you create it, well, I would imagine when you create it, you're putting your soul, so to speak, into it, right? Yeah. And so you want people to go, hey, that's the shit, right? But there's times where, you might have a group of people, you may think something is what it's actually not,
yes.
And sometimes you need other people to say, hey, no, and after a while, you start listening to it and you go, oh, maybe that wasn't what I thought it was. Or maybe you rearrange it and it becomes something else. So.
I'm very
you
grateful.
Described a lot of what went on, like I know there were some songs where like I brought something in and I'm like, there's no way. And then, Mel insists on it. No, let's keep pushing. Cause I'd never written a song before doing this. It's never happened.
Yeah.
So these
that
guys
was one
encouraged
of
me
the
to be
calling
part of it.
to Dan was that's the purest form for me. Like, had I written a song? Yes. Were they good? I got to write a million bad songs to write one good one. And so the fact that he had never written a song, well, there's no formula. There's simply an idea.
Well, I tried to look up if there was a formula.
Yeah,
I'll
there
be
is.
honest about
It's
it.
a verse.
I googled if there was a formula.
A, B, A,
I think it's
A, and you
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can read,
Formula.
and there is, verse, chorus, pre-chorus, verse, back in, bridge. You can follow that formula, and he did probably look at it. But the fact that he had never actually gone through, I had gone through and said like, this song needs a bridge. I don't know how to get there. What chords do I use? And then I just make them up, and I'm like, bridge. That seems cool. But he had never, he didn't think of it that way, and which was very intriguing to me because I was like, I don't think that if I went to a studio and said, hey, this is how I want to write songs, they're like, this is how you don't write songs. And I'm like, well, I would say, I beg to differ and I would like to try.
We got some different sounding things.
And so that's what we came up with, the reference tracks, what we call the recipe. Like, I want to write this song. And it's supposed to, I wrote a song, I wrote Dig Deep, and we're going to go part 2, and we're going to tell you more in depth about each song. Because I wanted an opener song. Yeah. And that's why we have this cool classical piece. And I needed a gym song because my brother always plays his music for his guys. And, I need a song that's like, Sean, I need you to play this in the weight room, And so I wrote them a gym song. I wrote a song and then it turned into a gym song because when we took it to the recipe, it was different.
Yeah.
And we bring it and we say, we need to apply all of these things, and this needs to be the sound. Before you've ever heard the sound, you've described the sound.
That was a big thing that we were
in depth.
Mel talks about the recipe, and one of the things that we did with when you saw the Sharpie and the sticky note things on Instagram, I think the first couple of days, all we did was you guys talked and I listened and marked down what you were saying, and I brought in questions and we talked about and I think this is what made the collaboration for people that didn't know each other work is we developed a recipe for the guidelines of what we're all trying to achieve together. So for instance, we said what type of sound, what do you want to sound like? And, we all had ideas that we wrote down, and you said things like, when I remember that you said, like, want it to be fun music, like, would you say anti-funeral?
Yeah, we did.
Like, no sad song.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-funeral
yeah,
part?
Yeah. I wanted something to be a little bit more.
With a touch of Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
No, it was supposed to be lively and fun.
Yeah, we wanted
Yeah.
something that people could sing along with and feel good about.
Yeah.
You know.
We just want to
Feeling
show
good.
up and be like,
because I mean, you can
Too much
anybody
passion.
broken.
anybody can write a downer song. I mean, that's the first thing that you write is a downer song.
Yeah.
First song I wrote was a downer song. I think So
One thing that I want to ask y'all about is because I'm taking it all in, right, and I'm getting this feel that there's a good, the soup's got all the good ingredients in there, right? But like for you guys, I love things my way. So at what point did y'all go, hey, we need to relinquish some of our maybe just thoughts and ideas and bring somebody else in and get a different perspective? Because I would only bring him in if he agreed with me 100%, you know? But that doesn't do anything, right? That doesn't help the matters, right? How did y'all get to that point where it was like, you know,
that was part of the
recipe.
recipe. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was when we did the sticky notes. It wasn't about anyone's way. It was about what are we trying to accomplish. So, for instance, one of the descriptors of the sound was quirky and fun. So we wrote that on a sticky, quirky and fun. When I asked Javi about the guitar parts, one of the really cool things that Javi had such an impact on with the music is that he wanted things to be like a lot more parts, kind of textures of different parts, rather than, you know, Hazy Blues is kind of South Texas strum all the way across. Can we throw in, can I use like 5 of my different guitars in one song, or like the melodica, or, you know, all of these things. So we got into this idea of let's just create a bunch of parts and then kind of place them afterward. So we created this thing
That's
together.
interesting.
And so it wasn't like Javi's way or Mel's way. We all had this agreement of, now that we have all of these ideas, and Mel designed the bass. She said, I want the bass to be a point of interest. I want it not to be like root and fifths, like South Texas kind of bass, boom, boom. She wanted to move around, and you
I wanted a poppy bass, and I had a ton of
kind of like a
bass
synth or more of a
references.
piano. So it's okay. We wrote that down. So it wasn't about this is how I play bass or this is how I play guitar.
Or
We
this
talked
is how I sing.
Or this is how you sing.
It was
We talked about, like, let's write from the hearts and minds rather than what our hands are used to doing. So this was what Mel was talking about with learning, is like, I think we all learned how to play in a very different way to accomplish this thing that we all
created.
owned. We all owned. No,
I
not
might
one
be in
person.
love with producer Dan right now.
I told you it's
Yeah.
inevitable.
He's
His
my-
wife is beautiful, also, by
I
the
get
way.
this, not saying this in any sort of rude way, but I really feel like you've almost got like a teacher mentality, to where it's like, hey, let's throw all these ideas at Dan, and he's patient enough to go, okay, well,
I'm just organizing their
Yeah.
organize, right?
Yeah.
So you can take
He
these
is-
pieces and
So it's
put
their
them together.
vision, and it's
So that's
just-
awesome. That
yeah.
because that kind of poo-poos on what I was saying earlier. Because
Yeah.
it's not really you guys relinquishing anything. It's bringing somebody in to
The opposite.
help y'all
That's-
take y'all's ideas and organize them.
Yeah.
That's where the discipline
Yeah.
came in. That it was about showing up. There were, you know, when we made the album, I'm working 12-hour overnight shifts, sometimes longer.
Mm-hmm.
Work is crazy. I'm an EMS dispatcher, so the night can go a million ways. It was about showing up and doing your homework and knowing the recipes and saying, like, okay, I said I wanted to be creative. That's what I put out. I am blessed to get to do this with somebody who understands and can help me organize all of these thoughts, which is sometimes the hardest step. Why do people not get to step 2? Because step 1, organizing what you want to do, is hard.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, this means I have to be disciplined because I'm on a team and I'm bringing my A game and I want to get better and better. So it was about showing up when you didn't want to. There were days I'd get home at 6 a.m. and they were going to be there at either 12 or 1 p.m. And I left the door open, so when they would just open the door, I'm like, music time, let me brush my teeth, and we're about to write some songs, everybody, you know? Anybody, coffee, water. And I'm just up,
So-
and we show up, and we're writing. That day, it's like, what song are we working on?
It's you know, I get the feel from you guys that not that y'all weren't 100% in it before, but especially with you, I get the feel that it's like, hey, this is our career path now, and you guys are, not that you weren't 100% in before.
Oh, yeah, no.
But it feels like you guys are 100% in and organized. And
Yeah.
that's
I think
awesome.
we were in before we were not organized.
Yeah.
And so now we've made the album, and it's a year of our life of writing songs that didn't exist. And some of them did exist. And we got to learn. I learned how to sing differently. And I've said this in the last podcast. When you hear us sing, every show, we're going to get better. So these songs were so cool to write. We're just going in, and today's the day we write the song. You know, we have Carla's Missing that came from a random band conversation that we were like, we should write a cumbia. And I'm like, yeah, we should write a cumbia. And
I said,
Alex
I don't
is
know
like,
what a cumbia is.
Yeah, so he's German. So we go and we give all these reference songs, but I remember this day and we had to leave early, and I'm like, okay, everybody's like, cumbia song in mind. All right, it could be anything, right? We have that day. Javi, I don't believe, was there. He came in the next day, but we go, and then Dan comes back with a polka.
Oh yeah.
And
No, I
it's,
tried to write a cumbia song, but
It was a polka.
and then you guys
which
gave me
is,
what was the band that you
What's
gave me
the
as a
difference,
reference?
Texas Tornadoes.
Texas Tornadoes.
Oh,
right.
I wanted to
What was
have
the
that.
song?
Who were you thinking of
yeah.
when we were
Like, Hey Baby,
making
¿Qué
love
pasó?
last
Hey,
night?
baby, ¿qué pasó? Yeah. I tried, but
Hey,
you know,
they're legends, man.
I hang out too much at Beethoven Manicor, and there's that German Oompa band. And my father was born in Hamburg, and it just did something to me. And I tried to write a cumbia. I'll learn what the
No,
cumbia
but that's
is.
the thing. I mean, people will say the accordion is, the Germans brought it, and then we each made it their own. So it was mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Because you did that. That's what it is. It's the same thing in a different,
Yeah.
different language kind of deal, in a different music language.
That's cool.
There were a lot of cool things. Like one of the things that we wrote on our stickies that Mel talked about was story songs.
Yeah.
And it was a really awesome mix of a Mel and Javi idea where Mel really loves story songs, but for this album, you wanted to focus more on vocally on melodies and less words.
Yeah.
Because you're
Okay.
always like words.
Words.
Because you love the story songs we played. I mean, a lot of them on your set, like Johnny Cash and things like that. So that was like this interesting creative question, like how do we create a story song with using less words? How do we do that? So then you mix that with this idea of Javi that Javi brought, which was really kind of this constructive idea of, I think Javi was more like this abstract artist. It's like, let's just throw a bunch of parts in, with these different guitars and then we'll kind of organize them later. So it was this kind of constructing thing. So then we thought, well, what if we used arrangement as telling a story? So if we have a song that sort of sounds like a pop song, verses and choruses, but then we arrange it in a way that we focus more on the character in the story and what is the character doing now. So like, for instance, it was kind of a scary thing to do, but there were some other songs that we used as reference tracks, like, what's the one, Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Mm-hmm. So that's a song that it goes verse, bridge, and then once it hits the chorus, it never comes back. It's just like, don't stop believing, and it just goes. You never come back to another verse or anything.
You're never not believing after that.
Right. It's a cool kind of
You can't go backwards.
Song arrangement.
it's a cool song arrangement.
So what are people what can folks expect to hear? Are we talking about dance music, or are we talking about, you talked about something that feels good, but what can folks expect to hear out of this new album? Is it chill music, or what is it?
You can hear a good time.
Javi.
So
That's-
dancing good time?
You can, well,
You're
I
gonna shake it.
dance.
You're gonna shake
Yeah.
your butt.
If you don't mind dancing at a funeral.
Yeah.
It's still South Texas,
You know,
strum and have fun, Hazy
Yeah.
Blues music.
That's cool.
It's still fun. And what people dance to that's their body.
Yeah.
I don't tell you what to dance to and what not to dance to.
You'll
But
shake,
if it
you'll
makes
shake
you
it a bit.
dance,
You'll shake it a
and
bit.
it's mainly, it makes me dance.
Yeah.
So when we hit, we released the single Please Pretty. It's out on all major music platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Check out our cool lyric video on YouTube. We definitely shout out to my marketing manager, DJ Jess out of Austin. We've been working really hard promoting everything.
You guys are connected with everybody now.
We're trying.
I feel like last time it was just you, me, and Javi.
Yeah.
And now y'all have a whole team.
We have a team, and that's one of the things that I did learn as we're going into album 2. I know that there's going to be album 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dan will be like, "What are you most excited about?" And I say album 3. He's like, "Really?
Still finishing.
I'm
album
still,
2.
yeah." But I'm going to continue to write albums no matter what. That's the thing. But you don't have to do it without a team, and I'm definitely thankful that Dan. I know I'm going to write another album with Dan. We have a bass player, and when Dan can play with us, he will. And Jacob is a great musician. I'm so happy that he plays with us. He's another great teacher, great leader, great band director. Just great to have in the band to be like, hey, these are the real music stuff that you should know. And I'm like, I'm so happy you're here, like.
So are you learning a lot more stuff than what you knew previously, or is this just a lot of just organization? Because it sounds like there's a lot of organization, but it sounds like you're learning a lot too about just the processes and
organization,
and
process.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, applying this. I've been an operations manager before, so applying this and marketing and all these things aren't new to me. It's just a different time on how you do this, and everybody has different methods. And in order to know what method works for you, you try them. That's it. It's like making a recipe. The first time I make a recipe, I follow it to the T. And then I'm like, I don't want that ingredient in there next time. And then I make adjustments as I go. And that's this. That's me and Jess working in the background saying, what's the best way to promote this, okay? But we always come back to like, why do you make the album? Why do you love the songs? It's like, this is what I'm doing. This is... for me, you can spend a lot of your time lost, but this is the fun path where I'm like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Because where I'm not supposed to be, I always end up in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm where I'm supposed to be, and it's a long, hard journey, and it's not about the money or any of those things. It's about saying, regardless of what happens, 2025, THB's making album 3.
So let me ask you this. This is kind of might be a silly question, which probably a no-brainer kind of thing. But when you're writing music, is it all about what you're trying to produce as far as an artist, or how much do you take in like your audience or the audience into your
100%. It's the first thing these guys talked about. I remember like, what do you want to do? And we were coming out of the pandemic, and that the one of the things that made me want to work with you guys that was exciting is like the first thing you talked about was your family and friends, and like we want to make music for. It's like such a San Antonio thing. Like it's kind of like how I watched your last podcast. Like what initially got you into podcasting.
Oh, I hate hearing myself.
No, but it's about like you want to talk with your friends and your family. You mentioned, right? And that's what these guys talked about. It's like making music for other people and making them happy, right? And so it was.
It just seems so different because like you guys are artists, right? I like art, but I'm not an artist, and I try to, sometimes I think about, the difficulty of having that balance of wanting to create something that's you, right? But at the same time, you want it to be received by as many people as possible, so, and not that you're selling yourself short or you're readjusting yourself to accommodate a wide range of people, but at the same time, you want it to be appealing, right?
Yeah.
And so, so it's just interesting to hear that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I don't think we talked about making other people happy too much, did we?
No.
Well, I think we just concentrated on making ourselves happy.
Yeah.
No, I think
But
you're
it
right.
was that
We wanted to be
concept.
happy with the product that we were putting out.
Yeah. I wanted to write songs.
Yeah.
Writing songs makes me happy.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write music as well and play music.
Yeah.
And this process has been fun. It's been great. But I still look forward to being in front of people.
Oh, yeah.
because that's the part that really, that I enjoy, being able to be in front of people and watching their reaction, especially if it's a good reaction.
Yeah.
We went into this album and everybody said, Jacob, when I talked to him about I wanted to develop my writing skills and become better and really get these ideas out of my head, he was like, the key is be intentional. What are you writing about? Why are you writing about? What are you doing with the song? And that was, we brought that to a lot of the recipe. I mean, there's a song there. I was like, well, we want to do something fun because we're a fun band. We're not a lounge band, and so we write the song and it's like, drink in the day or just drink, and so it's for that moment, for the people who come to the show, like, hey, here's your chance, man.
Yeah.
We're singing for you. It's not fun when it's no matter what, when we're playing music and we're rehearsing, it's fun. But when the party comes and the people are there and they're happy, I just love to go out.
And Mackie's shaking her tail feather out front, because I've seen her do that.
So I love to go out and entertain. And one of the things that I did in this album was I actually stepped away from the guitar, because being a performer who plays the guitar is different. You always have this cool thing.
So you'll be performing without the guitar?
Yeah,
Cool.
That's exciting for me. It's very vulnerable if you've played the guitar and sang forever. You get this little hiding spot, like, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
But this was about going outside, just pushing the boundaries.
Well, that's cool.
What makes you uncomfortable? Yeah. And I'm like, let's do it,
Yeah.
I do search to be uncomfortable because I know that I'm growing. Yeah. And Dan definitely gave us a lot of uncomfortable moments where I'm like, dude, I have homework. I'm going to work. And I'm like, guys, don't be talking to me right now. I have homework. They're like, what? And I'm like,
they're all answer the phone mail. And she's like, I'm busy.
It's kind of so.
But you were a really good leader with that stuff. Is like, we're all trying something new, and I'm new to this too. And you guys had patience with me. We all had patience with each other. We're all doing something that we were excited about. And I know, like, you talk about learning a lot, but you kind of gave us the license to just jump in and try it too, which I was. I don't know how you started your podcast. Like, did you research a lot? Are you someone who researches up front a lot, or just jumps in and figures it out?
Throw shit against the wall and see if it sticks.
Right. See, I'm the opposite. And I need people like you. I need to be around people like you and these guys, because I was kind of stuck in that. I don't know if you can relate or anyone could relate, in that kind of YouTube trap, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna spend the next whatever it is 6 months watching YouTube, learning how to use Logic Pro so that I could, and finally, I had some good friends that said, you know what you need? People.
Yeah.
Get out there and find someone. And, these guys were like, yeah, let's just all try whatever you have in mind. And that was really helpful.
That's cool.
For me. Like, yeah, let's try it. It's okay. That
He
you never
had
learned
all the
song.
tools. He just didn't know how to use them quite yet.
Or I hadn't used them before.
Yeah, so he's like, I got
Singing. I've never...
weird stuff.
I don't sing.
Yeah.
No. We need someone to try this. And
he did. He was really
Mel
great.
Was really,
Well, that sounds like a cool
way.
mix between all of y'all, because, it's nice when... I think there's so many people have a skill and a talent. They just need an avenue to apply it, and it sounds like y'all are a good mixture of that. And whether it's divine intervention or just pure luck, to be able to
Divine intervention.
fall in the same place, stay at the same haunted house.
Yeah.
People you don't know and still trust each other. So
that was the cool thing about Summer Spell, was it was just really awesome moments, just gifted. If you can, everybody has memories that they always talk about. I mean, when we're going to go into Summer Spell, it comes from a dream as Dan's going on our mini tour of Texas, and he's sick as a dog, doesn't really see, he sucks it up. He's a trooper. He plays the set in the sun, eats barbecue, makes the journey back, and then he's sick. And Alex hands him this pill from his back sweaty pocket.
Well, he's a drummer, right? So if you're a bass player, you got to give what your drummer
it
gives
was
you.
probably Pop
Gives
Rocks.
you, right? Yeah.
It was probably Pop Rocks.
And so he takes
Like
the pill and has
lint,
this.
2 pennies, and a pill.
3 hairs.
And I was desperate, man.
3 wrinkly hairs.
I was car sick. I was
He was sick as a dog.
So yeah, I took the pill, and he's like, here, just take this, you'll feel better. And he's like, how far is your drive home? About 22 minutes. He
So
goes,
you better hurry.
17.
And I'm like, don't take the pill. And Dan's like, I'm taking the pill. And I'm like,
it didn't even occur to me to wait till I got home to take it.
Absolutely not.
I'm so in a bad way. I just need to.
So we load him up and he goes home. And then a week later, we come to make what we now call Summer Spell. And he presents his dream. Would you like to present your dream?
Oh, well, so what happened is these guys had just told me that they wanted me to participate in writing some of these songs now that we had this recipe. And so that kind of got me excited, but a little freaked out too because I'd never done it. So I put notepads all around the house. So whenever I got
Like the little girl from The Sixth Sense with the water.
Yeah, with all different color markers. And, because I didn't want to miss anything because I'd never done this and I just wanted to get it down. So of course there was a notepad next to my bed, and I'd taken this drummer medicine. And I woke up, and much like we were talking about earlier when we were talking about hypnosis and things like that, I had this.
You were hypnotized.
This dream, kind of a
THB does that.
this fever dream, and it was just so real. It was kind of like Mad Magazine, and we were in one of those flat bed trucks, and Mel was driving like a maniac down the road. And Javi was in
I drive.
Yeah, Javi was playing, had all these instruments. He was in the passenger side playing, and Alex and I were strapped to the back on a mountain.
I don't think that was the fever.
It may have actually happened that way. We were in Beeville and had a lot of great barbecue and a lot of good sunshine. But so I wrote this all down and then just turned it into this song. It was just a bunch of bits of stuff, and then we kind of took it to the sticky notes and turned it into a song, and Mel and Javi decided to keep it. But yeah,
That's cool.
drummer drugs.
Well,
drugs.
You said we're going on a journey. So where are we at in the journey, and what do you have coming up?
So at the journey right now, we've released our single, Please Pretty. Like I said, available on all major music platforms.
I was surprised to see, and not that I was surprised, but you know how you go to Instagram and you look for music? You guys have a lot of music that Instagram carries on there that you can add. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. We're trying. So the journey, we're marketing. Background work is heavy sticky notes everywhere. Everything's updated. Singles out. This album will drop on October 6th.
If somebody gets done it.
No, there's no if. We don't say if. There's words we don't use. Can't and try. We just do it.
I got 1.5 more songs.
He's
The
just
title
red
track
right
shows
shirt right
it.
down.
We show up. You know, there's no trying to get the part. There's only getting the part.
We're gonna make it.
We have Music Challenge Monday, and Javi goes, what if you don't get the challenge? I'm like, that's not an option.
So, back to Canada.
So yeah, back to Canada. So the journey, we're gearing up to play live and bring it to San Antonio, and we're gonna put on a great, amazing show.
When's your next live show?
We're gonna play October 7th, Alamo Beer Company.
Okay.
But we're gearing up for something big, so stay tuned. We're rehearsing. It's a great album. It's gonna be we made the album intentionally in a specific order to present it to the crowd and to have just a great time.
That's
just
cool.
come
It's
out.
gonna be a lot of fun.
That's cool.
And that's all you have to do is have fun. Doesn't matter if you drink or eat or doesn't matter.
Sweat.
Come out and the music is fun. We'll do our best to have it inside. That we did talk about.
Hey, I'm gonna call my IV friend. Me and you getting IVs.
Hey, I got
a good idea.
I got an EMS.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll just bring
If she answers the phone.
bring the paramedics. But that's where we're at. We're doing. We're still rehearsing. We rehearse 2 to 3 times a week. We've got a show in Sanger also September 23rd.
Okay.
We were invited out to a songwriters festival. So it's a great set, all originals. And we'll post the video when it's there, but it's going to be a fun set. We all get to play different instruments. So we're super excited for Sanger. You'll get to see the new bass player here pretty soon, Gabe.
Dreamy or not
And
dreamy?
oh, he's dreamy.
All bass players are.
But
They're all
yeah, all
dreamy.
bass players.
Does he keep it low by the hips?
You know what? I didn't pay attention. No,
Is he drop down
No,
there? Or does he have it up here?
no, he's a mid. He's normal.
I like the hips. I like the hips down low.
It's way cooler. I'll talk to him about it. But yeah, we're gearing up and we're gonna bring it. We're bringing our A game for sure.
Cool.
We got that discipline applied. These songs are great. We are so excited. Please Pretty almost didn't make the cut, but when it did, it ended up being the single.
Yeah.
We had deadlines on the album, and we'd finished writing deadlines. It was like, because if you don't put deadlines on it, we're gonna go in a rabbit hole, and we're going to Alice in Wonderland, and I don't know when we're coming back. You know, so it's like deadlines. When Dan calls and is like, I know that it's deadline time, but I had this song, and it's all together, and just whatever you think.
I said you could use it for maybe like another album.
And
something.
so he was just real cool, and I hear it, and I'm like, absolutely, we're recording this right now. And we were in, and we recorded. He laid down, he sang the demo, and then I said, "Oh yeah, I got you." And we went and laid down the vocals, and that was it. The single was born. I was pondering, the whole album we were writing. I was pondering what's going to be the single. How are we going to do this, album order, all of these things. And I was just kind of on the fence with a couple, just racking my brain. And when he presented, I was like, that's it.
And they all kind of, everyone wrote it too. I mean, I know we talked about it a bit before, but it was written really quick because at this point in time, we'd all gotten used to this recipe. Mm-hmm. So, and we all brought ideas that were very, barely formed so that we could use, kind of put it through these filters. And we were finishing a work session, it was like a Thursday, and we were all packing up, and you guys were talking about just pain management. I remember.
Our life.
Your life. Yeah, and you're just going, and I'm listening, I'm saying, oh my gosh, trying to empathize
and you said, call the drummer, he's got pills.
Yeah. Too bad he was in Austin, but that would have been a good first move. But I was just listening, and it just was on my mind. And when I got home, it was a text from Javi. You were asking for lyric sheets or something, and you just said, "Pretty Please." And I said, "Oh, wouldn't that be a great name for a song?" And then looked up, and I think Dua Lipa or something else.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Pretty
That's
Please
awesome.
songs. So we flipped it around. It's like, what if we can reverse it? And then it was just this song about what you guys had just talked about that afternoon, having these. It's almost like when you're managing pain, you guys talked about it almost as if it's like a different character in your life, and you're always trying to negotiate with this other person throughout this whole lifetime. And I just wrote it down and thought it was so interesting. And then a football game was on that night. It wasn't really great. It was Thursday night football, and so I just threw some chords together, and it was that. But it was your text of "Please Pretty" that kind of made it all just go. Whoom. Here's the song.
Some songs are gifted from the universe also.
That's really fun.
Others,
that was a cool experience. You're right. I'm glad.
Sometimes
I'm grateful
you're-
I had that experience.
I say
I think
I'm
you're
always.
lucky hockey wasn't on, because he wouldn't have messed
He
with
wouldn't have messed with that. Yeah.
You got that right.
But yeah, some of them are just. I say I'm just the vessel. That when I'm not doing this, it's not the right place to be. That this is the thing that's like, listen, choose your heart. Not playing music, writing songs, uncomfortable, hard. Doing it, less uncomfortable, hard. So choose your heart, and I'm like, all right, we'll choose less uncomfortable and hard, opposed to uncomfortable and hard.
So for everybody listening, the new album is called
Summer Spell.
I like that title.
We got cool merch to go with it too, and I'm about to give you a sneak peek of the album cover.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then for next date is September
23rd. We'll be in Sanger, Texas at the.
Do you have a time frame for it?
We're going on at 8.
At 8? Okay.
8 p.m. We'll be on for a 20-minute all original set.
And then October 7th?
And then October 7th, we're at Alamo Beer Company for the SAFD Barbecue Throwdown.
Oh, okay, cool.
So they're gonna have some games on. They're seeing what time they're gonna fit us in. We're gonna go play a set. We're gonna have a good time for sure.
Cool. What time will that be? Do you know?
At this time, it's set for 6 to 9. So
Okay.
we'll be on, and we'll keep you posted. Insta, Facebook. You can check our website out.
Wait, you gotta say Instagram. 'Cause
Instagram.
me and Javi
Sorry.
still call it Instagram.
Instagram.
Kids, Javi, kids.
So
Somebody complete a word, please.
yeah, it's all over.
IG.
And we're excited. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on the single, KSYM Radio 90.1, the college station here in San Antonio, SAC.
Cool.
College station is spinning our single, 7.
That's
You
awesome.
can just tune in. You might hear it. The first time we were ever on the radio, my family actually waited in the car. Nobody has a radio, you know, so they're waiting in the car like, how long do I have to wait here? Jay's like, I listened my whole run, you know. So it's just cool, you know, to be like, here we are again. And then, you know, so it's cool. We're excited. The album, I know you're going to like it.
I can't wait.
Yeah. It's fun.
I'm sure I'm probably going to get a free.
We'll give you that one vinyl copy.
Hey, I almost said tape. Oh, man.
We can make that happen for you. We can make it happen.
For you, Gabe.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
just for you.
Is that 8-track, cassette, or reel to reel?
Real to real. My father-in-law actually still has one of those players.
Awesome.
Those are great.
Well, man, I'm excited for you guys, and I really appreciate y'all coming out. Anything else y'all want to share?
Should we play a song?
Yeah, we can. Were you gonna? How? We play it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we can.
Let's do it, guys.
I got 2 guitars. Dan, why don't you pick up a guitar? He also didn't expect this. Notice the surprise on his
I
face.
love producer Dan, but I've been sitting here while you've been talking, and I was like, I kind of like Canada Dan too, so I don't know. Danida. Danadia?
Danadia.
Watch you guys.
Okay, yeah.
What
Whatever
do we-
you feel comfortable with. Why don't we give you a little...
I think Dan needs something.
Dan needs something. Just maybe give him a little strum guitars. You know? Let's give him Please Pretty just a little.
There might
Javi.
be a couple spoons in the.
There you go. Spoon Man. So yeah, we'll give you just a short, all the way into the chorus, little live version here of the single. Maybe I'll give you a sneak peek. We'll see. We'll see how the guitar playing goes.
So this is the one that's out right now, right?
This is the one that's out right now.
Please Pretty?
Please Pretty. All right. Don't you fall. Don't you stay here and leave. Blow the call. Miss my pick. Just let me play here. Trick my trick. Please Pretty. See, it makes you want to dance. Come on. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do than nothing about this, about this, about. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do. Oh. Don't stand still. Don't look back. Don't rush in. Just attack. Don't be brave. Save yourself. Misbehave. Please Pretty. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do than nothing about this, about this, about. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do than nothing about this, about this, about. Don't be fooled. Break, don't bruise, and leave to ruins. Bam, bam, bam. There's nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing nothing I'd rather do. There's nothing I'd rather do. About this, about this, about.
Love it.
Please, pretty, ladies and gentlemen. There's a great synth part, you know, so we always do it. And
Mel on
love
vocals,
it.
Javi on the guitar, Dan on the thongs.
we make it work. This is, you know, a multi-instrument producer right here, you know.
Well, I've enjoyed it. Thank you guys.
No, thank you
again.
so much for
Thank you for
having
having
us.
I'm looking forward to seeing y'all live, and I'm looking forward to hearing the whole album.
Yeah, we will. We'll be back. Don't worry, part two's coming.
Part two's coming.
More snippets from songs, so it's going to be fun for part two.
Sounds good.
But all right, ladies and gentlemen, the Hazy Blues are out.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.